I need to tell my story to someone before it breaks me more than it already has. If I don't tell it to someone, I fear I might do something bad to myself. I'm telling this here because there are people like me who share the same experience and carry the same burden of guilt and desire. My name is Mary, and I'm a single mother. This is how I went from having everything to losing it all. Because of a relationship I never wanted, but was too caught in the moment to refuse. All I was left with was a pregnancy I never even wanted, from a man I can never be with. I'm a twin. You would never know until you see us together. My sister is the popular, outgoing one, while I'm the introvert. My sister and I are identical, but because of the different circles we belong to, most people mistake us while we were in college. Although we were twins, we were not really as close as the typical twins. But I love my sister. I don't think she feels the same way. I love her so much that I chose to run away after what I did, instead of staying and breaking her heart and soiling the little friendship we had built. You know that myth about one of a set of twins becoming successful and the other living in the shadow of that success? Well, that was my life. Martha became a successful investment banker while I could not hold one job down. I had gone from one job to the other, either resigning or getting fired. It was not because I wasn't smart enough. Maybe it was because of how much of an opinion I had. But for whatever reasons, I'm always at loggerheads with one of my bosses, and this almost always cost me my job. Not only was Martha shining at her job, she was also married to one of the most handsome men one could ever find. George ticked every black woman's dream man's boxes: talk, dark, rich, muscles like the Hulk, handsome, sweet, you name it. The man was everything and more. Was I surprised that Martha landed such a man? Not in the least. Oh, I did not mention how beautiful my sister is. I mean, we are identical twins, but there was a limit. Martha's blindingly beautiful, and she flaunts that anywhere she goes. They looked perfect for each other, but not all that glitters is gold. After failing at so many jobs, my sister asked me to come stay with her while she gets something for me to do at her office. I was not comfortable with the idea, but I badly wanted to put my life in order. And if staying with Martha and her husband would help me do that, then so be it. I can remember the day I moved in, the kind of remarks Martha gave me, the superior smirk she had on her face. Martha had always seen herself as the queen of the world, and I, in this moment and for the 1 year I stayed with her, was her loyal subject. However, George was different. I sometimes wonder how a completely kind man got caught in the net of a very proud woman like my sister. I still believe she does not deserve him, but who am I to judge? George was so kind to me, it upsets my sister. 3 weeks into my stay with them, George was able to get me a job at his firm as the head of the IT department. It was a law firm, and he was a senior partner. I still don't know what a law firm needed an IT department for. But it was a job with a good pay. That was all that mattered to me. The position was a big shoe for me at the time, but I was determined to fill them perfectly well. Little did I know that great responsibilities like this require even greater sacrifices. I would come to know that soon enough, in the hard way. The firm provided a very beautiful office for me, with a calm environment for me to thrive. I was in charge of settling every computer-based issue in the firm, more like an in-house handyman. The only difference was I had people to order around. I was the boss, you see, and a wonderful one at that. 2 months into my stay in the office, and I had made so many friends. The most solid of them was Sandra. Sandra was a junior attorney, very smart, but very playful too. She just mirrored my life in its totality. Sandra knew everything that happened in that office. I mean, everything. And by virtue of my friendship with her, I also became privy to very delicate and juicy gists. I miss her, though. I miss her a whole lot. Sandy was the first to tell me about George's escapades with his previous personal assistant, but I dismissed the gist as one of her unfounded rumors. She even told me that George had made advances at her, but stopped when he saw that she was not up for that kind of arrangement. She said this playfully, and I took it as what it was, one of those jokes she makes about handsome men in the office, until I learned the hard way. George had his clique of friends in the office. Handsome, very successful men. They did everything together, had one voice even. And Gurga was the leader of that clique. I got to know later that it was his clique that approved my appointment and the position I was given in the firm. I found their bromance very beautiful, even envied it. Well, soon enough, I became privy to their evil plans. George maintained a very professional work ethic with me. He didn't even consider that he was married to someone with my exact same face. Our work relationship was very amazing. He would call me only when he had an issue, and most times went through my assistant. Yes, I had an assistant. After a year of staying with Martha, I moved into my apartment, and that was when the chase began. It first started with official dates. Innocent official dates. George would even tell Martha that he was going with me. I don't know why she was never suspicious in the beginning. I don't know why she went with it all the way, but for whatever reason, she never objected to the dinners. George and I would dance and talk and do all the things that he was supposed to do with his wife, except for intimacy. Wait, before anybody comes for me, please remember that I owe this man a lot. My job, house, and car. Going on harmless official dinners with him was only a small payback to the loads and loads of favor I had received from him. Plus, I was very single, and I felt nothing could happen between the both of us. Yeah, I was naive, very naive. Gurj saw this and preyed on it nicely. We went from going for official dinners to unofficial dinners. I still did not read the room here. I mean, it was the kind and helpful Gurj, who happens to be Martha's husband. If only I knew. Slowly but surely, I fell for Gurj. I never intended to, but his game was too strong, his pressure was too hard. I would tell Sandy about it, and she would sound droves of warning in my ear, but I was far gone to comply. Things became even more complicated when Sandy hooked me up with David, another junior attorney at the firm. David was a nice guy, calm and collected too. But he was not George. He did not embody the suave and finesse of my sister's husband. Well, to make Sandy happy, I started something with Dave. It was innocent what David and I had. Too innocent for me. I thought I was an introvert, and I would like someone like Dave. I was wrong. Too wrong. I still kept David, though, while pinning for the beautiful George. Saying this now, and I'm really ashamed of myself for desiring another man when finally, I had landed myself an innocent and equally very beautiful man like David. David and I became serious, more serious than I'd imagined. Although he had made it clear that he wanted to be serious with me, I did not know he meant every word of it. Yeah, George and I had this beautiful and forbidden connection. It would be wonderful if I had my own man. Maybe it would help me get rid of this sweet taboo. I began to see David more often. David was a helpless romantic, and he knew how to express all of his emotions quite well. Because of how committed he was to making us work, we went from just winging it to be an actual item. Soon enough, what George and I had became a distant memory. David was my one true love, and I'd thank Sandy for bringing us together. After dating for about 6 months or so, I can't remember now, Dave decided to propose. He did it at dinner in one of our favorite restaurants. It was our 6-month anniversary too. I can't forget how we went from not talking at all at work to falling in love and this man wanting to spend the rest of his life with me. It was surreal. The day was magical, everything about it. I said yes, hoping that at last my life's coming together. Dave turned from my boyfriend to my soon-to-be husband, and in that moment, everything good had come. Well, what do they say about good things coming to those who wait? They never said that those good things could be snatched from your hands by one wrong move. Again, I learned the hard way. Throughout my dating period with Dave, George did not say anything. He even acted very supportive. It was his posture that even edged me on. I was happy he was okay with the arrangement. Little did I know that the man was waiting for the right time. Immediately, Dave proposed. George reared his beautiful head subtly. He started with the official dinners, those dinners that were meant for top officials. I don't know the kind of lies he would have told Martha to make her believe that it was just a harmless dinner. David did not doubt my commitment to him, so he was okay with it. Again, George began to lure me into that stay of desire. We would talk about any and everything in these dinners, even intimate conversations. I could have told David, maybe even stopped going with him to the dinners, or, if push comes to shove, tell my sister, but a very huge part of me did not want it to end. That part was happy the George fantasy was back. It was that part that pushed me to my doom. The day George and I finally gave in to each other is one of those days I still remember clearly till this day. It was in his office. On a work day. On an actual work day. My team had designed an app that would bring the firm closer to both existing and potential clients, and I was to present it to the senior partner in charge of my department, George, before he gave me an audience with the other partners. That day, I wore a close-fitting gown with a slit that would seduce even the devil. In my defense, I had a wardrobe malfunction, and that was the only dress that appealed to me at the time. Throughout the presentation, George could barely take his eyes off my breast. I caught him. He saw I did, but he did not stop. After the presentation, I waited for his verdict but got silence, a gulp, and he stood up. George moved to where I was, looked me in the eyes, drew me close, and kissed me. Yes, in the office. I was starstruck, but I had been waiting earnestly for this. We stayed that way for over 10 minutes, touching, kissing, pressing, smoldering, before I stopped him and left his office. This was to be the beginning of many nights of senseless fornication. George and I would leave the office early, cook up some office travel, do any and everything to get away from our reality. And it was beautiful before tragedy struck. Martha had her suspicions and decided to hire a private detective to investigate. The detective got a hold of the hotel we frequented and other details. The detective waited for us to come to the spot before he called Martha. George and I had already started our intense lovemaking. He was taking me from behind, breaking my back like he had been starved for years. My moans filled the room. I did not want him to stop. But suddenly he stopped and jerked up like one that just saw a ghost. Well, it was a ghost, all right. Martha was standing with Dave by her side, both dazed and quiet. Dave left broken, but Martha was determined to make a scene. After shouting and shouting, she left. That day, I lost my man, my sister, my friend, and my dignity. I resigned from the firm immediately and left the city. I moved to another city with the savings I had and started life there. My sister did not want to have anything to do with me, but she forgave her husband. Dave broke off our engagement. There was nothing left for me in that city. 1 month after I moved her, I found out that I was pregnant. My doctor advised against terminating it, and so I had to carry this child I never wanted and raise her all by myself. I still miss my sister and David, though. I miss them a lot. I don't think Martha knows she has a niece now. It's been 10 years since I last spoke to her. 10 years of being single, struggling to take care of my daughter alone, and jumping from one job to another. I had gold, but because of my desire, I traded my gold for a rock. If you want to see more infidelity stories, then click on the video you see now on your screen.